Hey guys, burning some Palo Santo. I wanted to do a walkthrough of the Gypsy Palace Tarot. I have had, I got this last year and have only used it for myself, and whereas during the 31 Days of Tarot by Ethany, and I've mentioned this deck a lot. I do love it. It has been a love-hate relationship. At first, I almost got rid of it, and ended up just keeping it and still working with it, and which I'm so grateful that I did, because it is a very non-traditional deck, and there's a lot of beauty to it, and it's a little straight to the point and very truthful, but there's a lot of mystery and a lot of just like a lot of messages that I have gotten from this deck when I actually take the time to sit down and use it and not, get triggered or judgy around it, and just allow it to have the messages it has to give me. So, and which is a good thing. I feel like the love-hate relationship has left a lot open, or there's a lot there to work with. So I feel like it just signifies, at the beginning I was like, I didn't even know if I could handle this deck, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this deck there is so much there it has for me. So I feel like there's a lot of gold in this deck. As I drink my coffee, so we're gonna go through it because I feel like this does deserve some attention. It does. It's a very beautiful, well-made deck. Excuse the chipping. I am a hard shuffler, so either way, that is what it is. So, and here's the backing. I love it. It's very, very gypsy feel. So, alright, where you're gonna go. I do not have the guidebook. There is a guidebook online, and I do recommend, if you do want to buy this deck, get the guidebook. Don't be like me and not get the guidebook. But she does have part of the guidebook online, so you can look at it, but in case you are thinking about buying this deck. I have said that I only use this for myself at the moment, but I am feeling like I have gotten, like, even just a week ago, I did this beautiful reading, and it surprised me, it blew me away, it took, I feel like I've gotten to a place with this deck now that I can really capture and listen to the messages it has for me, so I do feel like I will be using this for others at some point. But either way, let's get started. I'm not saying I'm an expert by any means on this deck. Again, I don't have the guidebook, so I have not even been able to glean what the creator Nora has done with this. And also, this is available on Etsy or through her site directly. So Nora Huska. And let's see, who is it? Is it Kellyanne Maddox that has a really good? She has several videos on this deck too. So if you want to go deeper, she has beautiful videos on this. So, here's the Fool, which there's also, I have watched some of the videos that the creator has done on YouTube, and there's there's a really in-depth story. So this hat is a house, and it plays through the cards, and so I don't even know all the connections. So I'm just going to walk through this and let you know how I have felt, the messages that this card has given me personally, not based off necessarily anybody else's. So but either way, so here's the Fool, and all about that new beginning, right? And I think, was it Kellyanne talking about we call disheveled and a little, just a little in need of some instructions, I guess. It's kind of he's a little this wild creature who, a little disheveled, about to embark on this journey, as he is, learn some things. So he's starry-eyed. You're it's going to see what life experiences can help teach him to grow. And I love the use of colors, and there's so many little details in this deck. But yeah, he's a little disheveled, getting ready to embark on his journey, and there is something to do with this house, but again, I'm not even totally sure. And here's the Magician. I love the idea of the Magician. Actually, the Magician this might be the house on top of the hat or something. There's all these little details with this deck. So it's there's so much more layers. There's already so much with a tarot deck to begin with, but even with this deck, it's takes it up a notch. There's a story here. As you can see, there's a lot of red. and obviously like the big yellow border, but lots of red and throughout this deck, and it's very colorful. It feels very Spanish to me. Now obviously like that gypsy feel, but this magician, I love how like the idea of him performing and just, you know, being the showman, you know, showing the possibilities and the limitless possibilities that we can do and create. I like how he's wearing the green and throat chakra, heart chakra. Like, what can you create? How do you show up in the world? What do you put out into the world? You know, like, what is your, especially like that public persona. These are like my non-traditional meanings with this non-traditional deck. I love this High Priestess. Look at her. She's, the idea of like, she's like, even like that, like there's like the landscape has merged with her. She is the landscape. But also just like, she looks like she's got all of her secrets, and, you know, she's embraced herself, and it's like, okay, are you going to embrace yourself? Are you going to allow yourself to move into the state of, you know, like, you have secrets and you don't necessarily have to show everything. I even like the comparison, like our public persona and our inner persona. Like, here's what you show to the world, and here's your private self that's hidden from the world, and like, what does that look like? How does that show up? How do you feel about it? How do you feel about your inner being and your inner worlds, literally your inner worlds? Like, how do you sit with your mystery? Are you able to handle it? Can you handle being mysterious? That's a cool way of looking at it. And the Empress. How are you nurturing? How are you protecting? What are you allowing to grow within your bubble of protection, like your kingdom? She's a very unusual Empress. The Empress is like one of my favorites, and I find even this one to be very unusual. Looks very open. Definitely the garden growing, right? It's like, okay, what do you nurture? What do you protect? What do you grow? Because your being is nurturing something by your very nature. So, like, what is growing in your garden, if anything? What are you growing? What are you protecting? What are you allowing to be open? I love this Emperor. It definitely has like a Nine of Wands feel, like that, the experienced, what's the word? Yeah, the experienced warrior, commander. He even has this little angel. It's kind of like he's come to his place of reckoning. But what's a good word for this? Once you've seen some things, once you have become battle hardened, you know the mistakes the failures and mistakes you've made along your path, and then being able to be a leader based off your experiences. You know, it's like all leaders must become battle hardened, right? They must have gone through some things in order to become wise. You're not just born wise. You have to kind of go through the life experiences to reach the state where you know what you want, because you've already seen what you don't want, or have already gone through some stuff, and owning that. So it's like owning where we've come from. This Hierophant. This Hierophant, he's giving me some trouble. One of the ways I love looking at the Hierophant is, stepping up as we are, aligning to ourselves and being seen as ourselves. So it's like even in this case, like with the message I get, like how I see the Hierophant, and in at least one way, but it's like he is what he is, and that's, it's not even like the persona of like our outer persona, our public persona. Like really just owning who we are, and like our inner world and our outer world are aligned to each other, and it's like you do not mind putting yourself out there as you are without changing you, and not apologizing. It's like even if someone may or may not like you for whatever reason, like does he look like he cares? He doesn't. He has a face of someone who does not care. But also it comes with a sense of like you don't judge others on who they are, and you don't judge yourself either. So, don't pass judgment on others, but also do not pass judgment on yourself for being who you are and how you show up. Like allowing a space of freedom in that, allowing everyone to have their own truth and be, aligned to their truth, as well as you giving yourself that same space and that same freedom to align to yours. Oh, and here's the Lovers. Look how much is going on in the Lovers. It's even like when I was like trying to figure out, like, okay, that's the angel's arm. There's a crying child. There's a man holding him, and there's like so much going on here. But it's a very cosmic, celebratory card. I do like the idea of the choices involved, how we commit to our choices, and just like knowing if you're committing, like, not worrying about what other people think when you commit to something, or commit to a person, an idea, a project, a venture, a job, yourself, a truth, celebrating that fact and just committing to it, and not worrying about, like, if it's aligned to your truth. Like, here's back to heaven. If it's aligned to your truth, you're making the right choice. If it's sitting well with you, versus like making decisions based on what other people think and not aligning to yourself, it's not going to ever really satisfy you, right? It's going to be, yes, it's not fun, like if you make a choice and it hurts somebody else's feelings, but you can't live your life based on other people's feelings or actions or how they feel or think or do. It has to be your choice on how you decide to commit to things. And committing to them fully. It has to be fully. Otherwise, like the idea of, like, this card, like temptation, we can be tempted. So if you're not fully engaged to if we're not fully engaged to our choices and our commitments, temptation would be able to have a place to come in. And also, like, every day choosing and recommitting oneself to our path in our life. So the Chariot card, so this is all, like, I see this as a card of Cancer and that water, but look at this fire dragon and, like, all these legs. There's so much going on here. I feel like, I don't know what the creator intended, Nora intended for this. I like the moon in the background. But, like, the way that you're shielding yourself as, like, obviously, like, harnessing forces, right, to go into a direction. Being able to, like, all the different directions, like all these legs, you can go in different directions, and honestly, there's so much going on with this card, right? Shielding oneself from that fire. Honestly, I'm not going to pretend I even know necessarily what it means. I just know that the way to get through is focus. So focus is necessary. With the Chariot, I feel, the determination and focus. So it's like, even like something feels like it's stopping you, but if it's your path, if you've gotten yourself lined up to commit to something, then, if anything does try to stop you, it's either you must be determined enough and focused enough to push through that or stay on that path. I love the Chariot though. But yeah, I like the mix of, like, all the blues and reds and that fire energy with the water energy. So it's like, how are you harnessing those forces? Are you shielding yourself from one of them, or are you able to harness that energy? Can you harness your passion and your determination and your focus and your drive to move forward? And Justice, which is 8 in this deck. This is one of my favorite Justice cards. I love I just love her. It's like, like owning one's truth again, and just, like knowing your truth, being your truth, right? Like, doing, acting, thinking, feeling your truth, but, like, just being your truth. And accepting yourself, like, definitely accepting yourself, accepting I guess, not necessarily it's a bad thing, but accepting the consequences of being you, and being okay with that, and coming into alignment with that. Here's the Hermit. I love this Hermit card. Sort of dancing. There's lots of different elements at play, right? If you look at these, like, as chakra colors, sort of like dancing and allowing, definitely like the idea of getting in nature. There's a lot of nature cards in this deck, so aligning to nature and recentering yourself by being in nature and observing nature and being in the dance, the dance of life, like you putting yourself into the dance of life and just really being able to gather like who you are and being able to like listen to the silence or listen to like what nature says and not, like all the opinions and things out in the world, like really being able to like find your own song, dance to your own tune, and how that plays in with the balance of nature and you and the universe and where do you fit in without worrying about anybody else, just you. Like taking that time to go off into nature so you can find yourself in the place of the universe. So beautiful. The Wheel. Oh my gosh, so this card came up for me in a reading. I love it's like her knowledge, her wisdom, I feel like this is even like the idea of being like divinely protected, guided, and then held up, and there's like this flowing of the sea and like how the world, like how our paths flow, the world always is turning and flowing, and like you see there's a lot of things like the eyes, there's like a lot of things like implemented into the background, like like a face is part of the scenery and the landscape. So much there, but like how do we apply ourselves, and how are we absorbing our environment, and how are we flowing with that environment? Like how are we using like what we learn and do and see and experience? How does that apply to our path and how we move forward on things? Beautiful card. Beautiful card. And allowing ourselves to be guided. Look at this Strength card. I love that she's massaging her lion in the cosmic landscape and the stars and just being at peace. And there's even kind of like a phoenix vibe to this too, right? Like that rising sun. So like once we master that inner beast of ours, and that the inner, like applying discipline and love and nurturing and support to our inner beast or inner animal, we can master that and like rise from that. Like that's when all the good stuff can start coming to us, right? Once we master and tame that inner beast in a beautiful way, not by force and not out of fear or hate, but just out of love and nurture. Like that, the lion might be mean or might lash out because it just needs attention and needs some love. And it's like even the idea of like our shadow selves, like like usually our triggers or in our shadow is where we need to just give ourselves extra attention and give ourselves love and space and support without judgment. It's beautiful. The Hangman, which is hanging but just upright. This card comes up for me a lot. I love the pink background. I see this as like a sense of like oneness and love, choosing. There's some choices here to make. Learning to just be as ourselves. Like see how the clothes are off, right? So it's just being our vulnerable selves, and also the Hermit just like in that cosmic space, but with just learning to just be, and like how we are in the infinite. Which I know is like a big idea, but we're just allowing ourselves to observe and be. Like, can you just sit with yourself? Can you just be with yourself? Can you go within and find the beauty in your inner world before you decide to put on your clothes and how you want to appear to the outer world? Like finding like who you really are, just as your vulnerable self with all of your insecurities, or in like awareness of your strengths and gifts and your challenges and your whole self, like just coming to a place of peace with that. And there's death, the fear. Feel like like the resistance, how we can resist change, but it's necessary. It's necessary for our evolution. It's okay. It's okay. The fears are okay. And resistance is okay, but just knowing like you can move into a place of just allowing. and letting go. It's okay. That's all I'll say about that one. The death card is always a loaded card. But it's like, I always like embracing letting go and change, but it's sometimes difficult. Our old self might want to hold on, but sometimes like you're eventually going to have to just embrace it. Embrace the change. I love this Temperance card. So beautiful. Patience. There's a sense of patience, right? With the waiting, bridging the elements, bridging the water and the sky. And I feel like holding out, waiting for those opportunities to come to us with patience. Sometimes it's like you can do everything you can, but sometimes there's a little bit of divine timing necessary, and just patience. It's okay. It's okay to wait. The Devil. I like how there's kind of like a shroud, and so like sometimes we can create the illusions of separateness, or whatever the illusion is. Like we create the illusion, we shroud ourselves from like truth in some ways and hold ourselves back, and it's our job to release that. There's a Tower. A lot going on here. It's like a whole other person right here, like coming off. Sometimes it's like the Death card, it can be difficult to shift our foundation, letting go of things that no longer serve us, and just being very gentle with ourselves in that process. It could be such a beautiful card, but very intense. Like sometimes we might be on the wrong path, and it's just going to have to be that major shift to get us back into the place where we need to be. It can be a little difficult, it can be a little painful, but just allow. The less we resist, the easier it can flow and get to the place of the star. The Lover on those horses, so beautiful. Beautiful. This is such a beautiful card. I mean, what else is there to say? It's such a peaceful, calming, self-love. The Moon. You're like grumpy. How things are perceived in the dark, our subconscious. I love the Sun card. Embracing all the full vibrancy of life. This reminds me, I got to go to Spain when I was in college. I got to go there I got to spend 2 weeks in Spain, and I got to go see flamenco dancing when I was there, and it was like, oh my gosh, this totally captures that vibe to me, just like fullness and the vibrant dance of life, and just embracing the joy and the beauty, especially when we have gone through trials, and still remembering that we're capable of dancing and enjoying and shrouding ourselves in that joy and that love and that luminous, our luminous life, and just embracing the vibrant, passionate drive and creative force that we are all born with, and we can innately always, that's the clothing we can put on. We can, fully embody that. This Judgment card. Look at the eyes. I love this. I feel like it's obviously definitely a judging card, but there's more to it. It's like how have we judged ourselves? How have we been hard on ourselves? How have we been hard on our path and our situation? And how are we rising above all of that now? Like, okay, you've come to a state of completion. How are you rising above it now? And I love this World card. Has totally embraced becoming the world, right? We have become the world. We are the world. We are the universe. We are our universe. Ace of Swords. So all the aces are just, a physical person, like a persona. Obviously I look at this as a throat chakra. How are we embracing a new train of thought, new mindset, new perspective, clarity, focus? How are we embracing our truth at this Two of Swords. Looks very, very protective and defensive of her two choices. It's like, can you put a sword down? The Three of Swords. Looks like he's stabbing himself. Isn't it colorful? Isn't this colorful? I love this Four of Swords. Like, even just the idea of them, like, on the green leaves, you know, it's like, and shrouded in some nature and, you know, embracing some peace. So much going on. Seven of Swords. I do like the idea. I think Kellyanne talked about like the sabotages. How do we sabotage ourselves? How are we giving up some of our power or energy? You know, like what drains us? You know, money-wise, physically, emotionally, mentally. I love this Eight of Swords. Look at her. Got herself all tied up. Such a beautiful card, right? Love all that green. Look at this as like heart chakra. How has our heart chakra gotten ourselves tied up? Or how is it tied up? How are we tied up? The Nine of Swords. How has anxiety driven us? I love this Ten of Swords too. Knight of Swords has been through some stuff, right? Look at him. Jumping before licking sort of feeling. Love this Queen of Swords. She looks like she gives no F's. She is who she is, and she does not care what you think. I love it. She's not worried. This King of Swords is fascinating, right? I feel like this guy, King himself, is tied up by this guy. I feel like it's a constant battle with our thoughts, our mindset. Like it's up to us to constantly be aware of our minds. It's not just like one time done. It's there's a constant devil on our shoulder that we need to be aware of always. And I don't mean it in a scary way, just, you know, always, like, every day is like we're recommitting to ourselves, we're recommitting to our ideas, our path, our choices, how are we showing up, and always being mindful of any stories we tell ourselves that hurt us or stop us or you know, like the fears that can come up. How do we clear those on a daily basis? How are we managing those fears and not just assuming that we can get them all gone at once or one and done, but always being, it's like on a daily basis, being very, very aware and conscious of how we keep ourselves high vibe and stay like very clear headed, and how we manage our mindset and our beliefs. There's the Ace of Wands. She's so beautiful. Dancing, passionate. I love this Four of Wands. Embracing nature. Accepting herself. The Five of Wands. I feel like this could all be like, depending on the kind of question, it could be all of our personalities, all of our personas within one. Look at the little head. How do we choose to show up? This looks like ecstasy in a way, just enlightenment. kind of like the Judgment, or the World card and Judgment card in the background. I love this one too. There's always different perspectives, right? It's like, here's that person. It's like, are they moving forward? Are they disappointed? They're carrying each other? Who's this person? Got this 8 of Wands. I love this 9. I love this 9 of Wands. Or cats. Her garden. She protects her garden. I like this 10 of Wands too. It's like, in which case are you? Are you enjoying life to the fullest? Are you seeing the opportunities with your difficulties, or are you being swallowed up by them? You know, like, are you like, here's a challenge. Where's the opportunity in this challenge? Oh, that Queen of Wands, she's beautiful, isn't she? So beautiful. This 10 of Wands, or the King of Wands, like, look at all those arms. He's got such a small head, but he's pushing forward. Ace of Cups. I love the idea. Was it, I think Elise from Wild Man Woman talked about like how we can get wrapped up in our emotions. Or when we're connecting with others in our relationships, we can all get so entangled, and it's just like having to know like which way's up, which way's down, and just kind of like embracing that dance of like connecting with other souls, and in the unusual ways that it can come about. 2 of Cups. I love this 3 of Cups. This is one of my favorite 3 of Cups. Embracing family and celebration. 4 of Cups. Carrying somebody home. I love this. It's like a fortune teller, right? With her cat. Looks like there's some like scrying going on. I love it. I find the 7 of Cups fascinating. I would like to know what she thinks about it, or what she was going for with this. Like the idea, like, obviously this is not traditional, right? But like accepting the dream world, what, you know, like how we choose to see our reality. Oh. 8 of Cups. They're being carried. They have their spirit guide bringing them, spirit animal. The 9 of Cups. So it's like a Buddha feel to it. I love this 10 of Cups. Look at her. It's like the dance of life and the fruit and her just at peace. I like how she's on a boat on the water, so she's like mastered the emotions and is able to like ride the waves of our emotional body, you know, in a way that keeps, she's still calm and peaceful even if the waters are rough, and she's able to still embrace all the benefits and the fruits of our lives. Love this Page of Cups. The Knight of Cups. This Queen of Cups too. A lot of play, like the Chariot, like lots of fire and water. And sort of like her shadow self in some way. So this King of Cups, every time I see this card, I was thinking like, he's such a funny looking character, right? I was like, the King of Cups. I laugh because the message that clearly comes to me when I look at this card is like, in order to master our emotions, if you see like the kings as masters of that suit, mastering our emotions, or mastering the idea of emotions, is going to make you have to be sort of a funny person, right? You have to be a very unusual, funny person in order to understand and master emotions. Like, the process of even being able to explain and comprehend emotions, period, and feelings. You're going to be funny when you get through that process of understanding human feelings and going through it. Like, once you go through the journey of emotions, you're going to like come out the other side very funny, or you're going to look very funny to other people. And in order to understand them, you have to be sort of a funny character. Oh, I love that. So here's the Ace of Pentacles. She's so beautiful. I like how she's wearing this jewelry, and like, I love this purple, like this cosmic higher chakra, third eye, and sort of just embracing oneself and embracing one's beauty and what we can bring to the world, and how we bring it to the world, how we bring ourselves to the physical world, and being willing to adorn ourselves and be beautiful and show up as our beautiful selves. And the dance of life and balance, the balance of all. I love this Three of Cups. It's like, Three of Pentacles. It's like, looks like someone who's like, it looks like a mentor, like helping this person. Like, I feel like I see this as like a new beginner, and like, here's the mentor, and they're learning how to like make things, and this one's like, oh, I have to show a new, excited, very enthusiastic new person how to do things. And just like, oh, here's how you do it, here's how you make it. Oh, that's so funny. Four of Pentacles, and a 5. This is pretty well summed up to me. Like the 6, like how growing. She is her garden. She is growing and changing. Love that flower. I love the 7 of Pentacles. For all the beautiful souls that are just waiting to like see a result from something, like it's coming. Don't give up. It's always the darkest before the dawn. The 8 of Pentacles. Looks like they have enjoyed the process of becoming, and able to embrace their becoming fully. And the 10 of Pentacles. I love this card. So unusual, right? And this Queen of Pentacles, she's so beautiful. And the King. So, very non-traditional deck, and when I have been using this now, it's, get this shuffled up. When I use this, I find I have so much I can journal out, and like all the messages. It's sort of like Druidcraft is a deck that I get so much from the messages that come to me, and this deck is really, it's taken a while, but it's really starting to come to a place that can really, I can really channel a lot of messages from. Just want to show you guys what it looks like when you mix them all together. So there's the beautiful Gypsy Palace Tarot by Nora Huska, and it's on Etsy and her website. And again, yeah, I have journaled this last weekend. I just journaled so much, and it was so useful, and I could benefit from. And I mean, it's so colorful and beautiful, non-traditional, but it has a lot there. There's a lot of wisdom, right? It just seems like there's so much to know from this deck, and it's like it feels like it would take forever to really get to know it. There's always going to be something more to learn. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, and I hope you have a great day.